Hi, it's me, Josephine, and today I would like to talk about a question I had when I started buying Waldorf toys, especially the animals. I have posted on Facebook a post where I have asked a lot of parents and teachers what they like the best. There is Ostheimer, the wooden animals you see here in my bag. I have even more here inside. Like here, a bigger one, the elephant, the giraffe, a donkey, dog, and so on. Then there is Holztiger, what is kind of the same as Ostheimer. I don't have any to show right now. And the only difference is that Holztiger is the younger company, Ostheimer is the older company. Holztiger makes the animals with a little more detail and smile, while Ostheimer tries to stay with less as possible and still have very beautiful animals. Also, if you are in Germany, then Holztiger is the cheaper option. If you're in the US, it's about the same. I don't know why. Anyways, then the other ways of having animal toys for your kids would be, for example, the ones which you're knitting. We have here also a bunch of them. Or the ones what I've felted will look very realistic most of the time. And anyway, when you go on Pinterest, you will find felted animals. They just look like they are real. It is really awesome how they look like. So we have the Ostheimer ones, the Holztiger ones, the felted ones, the knitted ones. I'm missing something. Oh yes, the peg doll ones, what every parent kind of does by themselves. You can also find some from people like people. I will write it there because I never know how to say it. I think it's just people like people, but it's written completely differently. So for example, this is one I copied from people. I guess it's clear what animal that is supposed to be. And these are two of my own creations, the ladybug and the bee. Of course, if you're going with the pack dolls, you have way more options, but you also must be a little bit creative and able to paint or to do something with them. I mean, you do not even have to paint. You can also do it with felt. There are a lot of options, really endless. But you have to be a little bit creative. And if you are very bad in doing things like this and you really don't want to train doing things like this, then it might be, of course, easier for you to just buy the wooden ones. And if you are absolutely in love with knitting, then this might be an option for you to just knit all of those animals. If you love felting and you have the time to do that, because that is definitely the option that takes the most amount of time, then of course to felt all of those animals is a great idea and great option. Most parents prefer the look of the felted animals. I see that every kid grabs something else and every kid likes something else. That is absolutely normal. We're all different. I realize that especially the younger ones, the very little ones, they love the knitted ones because of how they feel, because they are kind of like just stuffed animals. And when you are playing with the big Ostheimer figures, sometimes that is really cool too. Or if you are making all of those figures by yourself. So if you are making figures like this one, what I made here, I hope you can see it, then it is really great to have knitted animals because, yeah, the size makes a little more sense, even though this one is now a little too big for that one. But that is kind of the thing. If you want one of those, choose better one, maybe two. Don't do it like me. It is really annoying because everything has a different size. Nothing fits at the end well together. And I kind of started everything and now it's too much. And that is something you don't want. You don't want that your kid has too much. It is fine if you have a huge house and you can kind of separate the things nicely, but if you're living like me in something smaller, then it's gonna get stuffed and then the child can't play free anymore. So don't do the same mistake as I did. I just wanted to make sure my daughter isn't missing out on anything, and I wanted to give her that choice between everything. And now I have to sell things. So learn from my mistake. Make the decision. What do you want to do? I personally, if I would have to decide between all of those things again, I would try having from each maybe one and see what my daughter likes and then make the decision with that. Because, like I said, every child is different, every person is different. We're not the same. But for my daughter, I really, really love the Ostheimer figures because they are so well made. They are sturdy. They will last for more than one generation. That is something I really like. I also didn't buy any of them new. I bought all of the Ostheimer animals we have used, completely all of them. And I think this is something you cannot do with the most toys. Like with the peg dolls, the problem is, as beautiful as they are, the ones I painted myself, what happens sometimes is things like this. Of course, I repainted, no problem, but you have more maintenance with peg dolls like you would have with the wooden animals what you buy from Ostheimer, because I don't know why, but their color just stays there way better. I can show you this with an example. So there is a donkey what is sold right now that is the older version of that donkey, and you see that this donkey looks still beautiful. Okay, there is an even older version than this donkey, and that is this donkey. Now you see how a change in years has, of course, changed what Ostheimer did, but also the color. It's still so beautiful. You see the tail was thicker, and here it's opening, and there's still everywhere color. The only things I realized, if you have very, very rough kids, then things like this happen where actually a piece breaks off. But like you see, I'm touching here all over the place. It is still all very soft, and the person who had it directly sanded it nicely, and there's no life lost. And here you see with the color scratch where probably something with a different color has had a lot of contact with that and gave this figure it this little color mark. But this is something that rarely happens. This is something that often happens. I have repainted a bunch of the peg dolls already. Those painting problems, of course, you don't have them at all with the felted or the knitted ones. But the knitted ones, I always have to, when they get so fuzzy, like here right now, where the hair just goes away and off, then I have to refelt them. I have to grab the needle, felt it back in there, and make sure that it doesn't lose its look. And the wooden ones from Ostheimer, of course, you should give them sometimes a coat. You can either do it with a certain kind of oil, what is made for that, or you could do it with beeswax. But if you want to do it with beeswax, you have to be very sure what kind of beeswax it is you're using there. There are a lot of bad things they do with beeswax. Like they sell you organic beeswax, but then they let it run through machines and things what are gross, let's say like this, or plastic, and are made to be in contact with any hot wax when they have to melt it. So there are a lot of chemicals what can get set free by doing the wrong process. And that is why I also said in a different video that you should try to avoid using beeswax if you can. But this is just what I do. I do use beeswax, but I do really look what kind of beeswax is it? Where does it come from? And how did they make it? the best is if you know somebody who does it by themselves, or if you're doing it by yourself, then of course it's something completely different because you can make sure that none of those wrong processes are happening. But if you don't and you're not able to make sure that there is nothing like this, or you're vegan, of course, then you want to avoid that. And I also get often asked, how is this with the oils? If you're using an oil, what kind of oil should I use? And how is this? Can it get stinky after a while because maybe the oil gets bad? And I have looked it up, and there it said that it could get like this, but it never happened to me. So maybe I was just lucky, or it depends on the oil you're using. I hear a lot that oils like coconut oil last very long. Oils that like walnut oil, what works so well to save the color and give it a beautiful coat and really make sure that the color stays where the color should be. They are supposed to get bad very fast and very easily, and you have to keep them in the fridge, but it never happened to me. Okay, then let's talk about the knitted ones. If you're doing those knitted ones and you're just beginner doing that, what often happens is that, let's show this one. That was one of my first ones. There's not enough inside, so they're just not standing. And for the kids, they lose their fun very easily if they don't stand, or they just use it as stuffed animals. That's what my daughter does. For her, these are just stuffed animals. She's not really using them for the play like I thought she would. I tried making her play like that, and it works only if I put them there and if I play like this, and then she comes. But if you let her choose, she's not going to choose them. But she does like to choose this one here. That's how picky. Okay, like you see, there is really no answer I have for you. You have to figure out on your own what actually fits to you, what fits to your life. And I just hope that what I said was a help for you. If you have seen other people and also me right now with those animals down there, those plastic ones with the fuzzy feeling around, I do not recommend to buy them. I have actually bought one package, and all the other ones we got from the Buy Nothing group. And what I realized is that they lose their look very, very fast. The arms break off, and it's just not worth to buy it as a plastic toy. No child really loves them enough to buy them. Every child wants the Waldorf ones, wants the ones what are made out of wood, or wants the ones what are the little peg dolls, or the felted ones, or the knitted ones, way better and way more than the plastic ones. Okay, so the older kids usually I've seen prefer the little peg dolls, and the younger ones like it more simple. I realize this a lot with a lot of different toys. The more simple, the more the younger ones are interested in it. The more detail, it's usually the older kids, kids that watch TV. I realize that a lot, that there is a difference also if the kids watch TV or don't watch TV. Kids what never watch TV, of course, they have to still imagine everything on their own, and they like less detail. And kids that watch a lot of TV, they do like more detail because it just reminds them to what they have seen. Like, for example, I have made here Elsa. For my daughter, this is a winter doll because it has the star, and she calls her Mama because I used to have very long hair and I usually had exactly that hairstyle. And that's why this is Mama. And every other kid calls this doll Elsa. Okay, I hope this video was helpful for you. Please let me know in the comments down below what you think. What is your favorite? What is the favorite of your child? Are these two different ones? Because for me, these are two different ones. And I wish you a beautiful day. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and I see you in my next video. Have a beautiful time. Goodbye!